So, as a child, I recall going to Blockbuster and browsing the horror movie section and seeing the cover art for the first three Chucky movies, or Child's Play films, as they were known back then, and being absolutely scared out of my mind. Finally, one day, I caught the first two movies on TV and was absolutely sucked in and was captivated not only by the movies themselves, but also by the character of Chucky. So after seeing those first two films on TV, I wasn't really scared anymore. I was more so just invested, and I thought the character was cool. I thought he was a fun character for a horror film to have. Now, if you're a hardcore Chucky fan, you probably already know this, but if you're not, Don Mancini, the writer and one of the creators of the Child's Play movies and the Chucky character himself, lists this as being his least favorite movie in the entire franchise that he worked on, which, putting this movie below Seed of Chucky seems like a huge stretch to me personally, but at the end of the day, everybody's got their own opinions and their own personal tastes in movies, and Don Mancini was under a lot of pressure from Universal Studios, and this third movie was definitely very rushed, coming out not even 9 months, I believe I read, after the second movie was released in the theaters. So I can understand why, at the end of the day, that may have left a bad taste in his mouth. So from everything I've seen in interview clips, as well as from what I've read online in articles, Mancini was not exactly opposed to making another Child's Play movie, but he wanted more time. And of course, Universal was up his butt this entire time, and thus, Child's Play 3 was immediately rushed into production. I'm probably going to catch some hate for this, so please take this with a grain of salt, but me personally, I might be a little biased, but I've always preferred Chucky as a solo character, which is probably why I was never really a huge fan of the Bride and Seed of Chucky movies. And I know that at least Bride of Chucky has its fans, but it's just never really been my cup of tea personally. Plus, the whole comedy, self-aware, borderline parody kind of vibe that they were going for just never really gelled with me. But getting back to Child's Play 3, so this movie was definitely rushed into production. I mean, like I said, it came out less than a year after Child's Play 2, and being that that second movie was such a success, both at the box office as well as amongst the Chucky fan base, Universal, like you may have expected, was immediately up Don Mancini's ass to pump out another sequel. But before we get into the plot of Child's Play 3, don't forget to check out my Patreon, guys. As usual, there will be a link in the description for you guys to check out. You'll find all sorts of exclusive content over there. It's a great way to support the channel and allows me to bring more awesome content for you guys over here on YouTube. If not, no big deal. Your views and subscriptions mean the world to me here, as does your overall support, and yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for that. Also, don't forget to drop a comment and let me know what you think of this video, and also, what other movies you would like me to review on this channel. I'm serious. Do it. Do it, or else Chucky will come hunting you down. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into the movie. So of course, in typical Chucky fashion, you know he's always got to come back in some ridiculously convoluted and very convenient fashion. But hey, you know, I'm all for it. But the film basically opens up with the factory we saw at the end of Child's Play 2, which I guess has been shut down for some time and is now being reopened. We see a bunch of workers cleaning it up, and then we pan down and see the remains of Chucky from when he got melted at the end of the last movie. Now, this next part is a tad confusing, so we see this big-ass crane lower down and puncture into Chucky's corpse, and fresh blood immediately starts gushing out. Blood ends up dripping into this whole vat of molten plastic that we have here, which immediately starts bubbling, and then I guess this is supposed to represent Chucky's soul being reanimated. This brings us into our title sequence, which is pretty fucking dope, I have to admit, and gives me some serious Hellraiser vibes. Now, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be representing real time, or if this is supposed to be just like part of the title sequence, or if this is like metaphorical for Chucky coming back to life. I think possibly a little bit of both. Maybe Chucky can tell us though. What do you have to say, Chuck? Next, we cut to the darkest and most comically evil boardroom meeting I've ever seen in a film. Actually, no, the one from Carnosaur I think still has this one beat, but this is a close second. Here we see representatives from the Play Palace toy company who manufactures the Good Guy dolls giving us a PowerPoint presentation on the plots of the first two Child's Play movies. Apparently, the incidents from the first two movies caused a shit ton of negative publicity for the company, and they damn near went into bankruptcy. Here we find out that 8 years has passed since Child's Play 2, where we see Mr. Sullivan, the corporate douchebag from Child's Play 2.
That's exactly right. Andy Barclay is ancient history. No one remembers him. Nobody cares.
Even this guy's like, man, you a piece of shit. Well, you know his ass is dead. Further proven he's nothing more than a cardboard stereotype, we get to see what Mr. Sullivan does in his free time. That's right. Liquor, check. Cigar, check. Watching the stocks on TV, check. Only thing we're missing is a croquet mallet or a golf club. Aw, thanks, Chuck. You read my mind.
5 on the New York Stock Exchange, the up volume 103 million shares, the down volume 39.4. Economic data, the US dollar, the dollar index up 4 point, the CRV index up 0.43 at 230.43, trading help from crude oil. March crude up 32 cents with oil stocks gaining better than a point on that index.
And this scene just straight up becomes a Scooby-Doo episode at this point because Chucky, he starts becoming a petty dick. First he turns off the remote, then he hides the remote underneath the couch, and then straight up Home Alones his ass.
Crude up 32 cents with oil stocks getting better.
Now this next scene is admittedly pretty freaking cool, where all the toys seem to be coming to life and trying to attack him. I mean, of course we know it's just Chucky fucking with the guy, but I have to wonder what the fuck is he putting in these toys? Because we see a helicopter fly him straight at his ass, damn near decapitates him, and the shit even explodes when it hits the wall. And now it's time for old Chuck to make his grand entrance into the film. He rigs a couple of good guy dolls as a distraction, waiting until just the right moment to strike.
Wanna play? I like to be hugged. I like to be hugged. Hi, my name is Larry. Hi, my name is Polly. Hey, wanna play? Hey, wanna play? I like to be...
Don't fuck with the Chuck!
This gives us not only one of my favorite Chucky lines of all time, but also, admittedly, a pretty cool kill. First, Chuck throws a couple of darts at the man, one spearing him in the back and the other in his hand, and then gives us another one-liner.
Bullseye!
Finally, he finishes him off by strangling him to death with a yo-yo string. And like most characters in this franchise, he has to go out looking like a dumbass. Doy!
Just like the good old days. Nothing like a strangulation to get the circulation going.
Ah yes, Chuck. Good times, good times. So after killing Sullivan, Chucky hops onto his computer and looks Andy's information up on the 1991 internet. I guess Mr. Sullivan also had a time machine on hand and was able to bring Google back to the early 90s. I don't know, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Here we discover that Andy has been sent to military school and is now much older, being 16 years old in age. He's also played by a completely different actor this time around, being that this was made only a year after Child's Play 2, and that would be Justin Whalen, who you may recognize from Dungeons & Dragons. Now, admittedly, setting the film in a military school makes for an interesting concept, but it is just chock full of stereotypes, and I mean the worst types of Southern stereotypes for commandant officers that you could possibly imagine. Here to prove this to you guys is Colonel Cochran, and they might as well have just named this character Colonel Sanders.
When I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. At Kent, we take bedwetters and turn them into men.
Oh, and trust me, it gets even worse.
Yes. Oh, yes. We're seeing some skin now, aren't we?
Jesus, keep this man away from the children, please. And apparently this dude doesn't understand what bald means either.
Presto, you're bald.
So this is Sergeant Botnick, the army barber for the military school, played by the always wonderful Andrew Robinson. Some of you may remember him from Dirty Harry as well as Hellraiser. And honestly, he's one of the more amusing parts of this movie, and I really wish they had given him more scenes because, as over the top as he is having a great time, clearly, with this role, and I was entertained just about every second he was on screen for. And now it's time for a little PTSD.
Uh-oh, there's a friend in me. Hey, cheer up! Who are you? I'm a good guy.
So Tyler, the little boy we just saw getting his hair cut before Andy, immediately takes a liking to this commercial, and if I'm being honest, it's kinda creepy.
You will? Sure I will.
Yeah, you better watch out, Chuck. I think Tyler likes good guy dolls a little too much. And I'm starting to become a little bit concerned about the legal and ethical practices of this military school. I mean, I understand it was the early 90s, maybe it was a little different back then, but at the same time, I kind of don't, because this seems a little excessive.
Are you okay? Bastards! Fucking bastards! What happened?
So, not only did they bound this kid, tie him up, and shove him in a dark closet, but they also gagged him? What kind of freaky shit are these kids into? I mean, this goes beyond just hazing. Also, where are the fucking adults in this goddamn military school?
Who said you could look at me? Do you know who I am? Shelton? That's Lieutenant Colonel Shelton to you, asshole!
So yeah, as you could have guessed, this is our douchebag drill sergeant for the movie, Colonel Shelton, which I don't know how the fuck he becomes a colonel at 16 years old, but beats me. And as one could have predicted, this man is clearly power tripping and being borderline verbal abusive with everybody, so you know his ass is gonna die. Now, I'm not saying he deserves to be treated like this, I mean, nobody does. But you saw clearly the way he made direct eye contact with his drill sergeant, which anybody who has even seen a military-related movie knows you never do that. So of course he's gonna immediately target the first person who does that, especially knowing that they're new. But hey, at least the girl has some balls.
You asshole.
Bitch, what'd you say to me?
What did you say?
I said you asshole, sir!
So this is De Silva, who, as you probably guessed, ends up being Andy's love interest for the movie. And you know, good for him. It's about time this kid got a break. So Tyler is given a package to deliver to Andy, and gee, I wonder what that is. And I just gotta wonder once again, like, is this academy, like, made up exclusively of assholes? Because they just go out of their way to treat this 8-year-old kid like shit. And Tyler continues to act like a fucking weirdo. I'm serious, you just know. You know by his facial expression there, the way he's all giggling. He's gonna do something nasty with that doll. Oh, I hope nobody sees me. So Tyler sneaks off to the armory to open up the package, which I gotta ask, how exactly did Chucky get himself into the box, wrap the box, tape it up, put the label on it and everything, and then walk his ass to the post office while still wrapped up in this package the entire time? And don't tell me it was because of Tiffany, because that wasn't even established at this point in the franchise yet.
Who the fuck are you?
Okay, I gotta admit, that one got me. So Chucky demands to know where Andy is before suddenly realizing that, oh shit, he's in a new doll body, so I guess that means new possession rules now? Because he says out loud that he has a new body now, which means that he does not have to abide by the same rules established in the first movie, where he had to possess the first person he revealed his true self to, which was Andy. But now he's got some fresh meat lined up. Which, alright, I'll buy that. I mean, it keeps the idea fresh and interesting. But did you have to say it out loud right in front of Tyler?
Wait a minute. I got a new body, and I ain't told anyone about my little secret yet.
Well, way to be subtle in front of this kid about your motives, Chucky. But Chucky ain't playing any games this time, and he gets right to work performing the ritual of Damballa in an effort to transfer his soul into Tyler, who is just oblivious as fuck this entire time.
Hold still.
What do you call this game anyway?
Hide the soul. Trust me, you're gonna love it.
Whatever you say, Charles.
Ate Dewey Dembella. Give me the power, I beg of you!
Random storm cloud appearing out of thin air, nothing strange about that. And you know, maybe if you weren't wasting so much time pretending to be a doll and trying to be all sneaky about this shit, Chucky, you wouldn't have to worry about this. Plus, nothing's preventing you from performing the ritual or just killing these guys and then going about your business. I mean, you would just think at this point in the franchise, with it being established in the previous two movies that the more time Chucky spends in the doll body, the more human he becomes, that he would just have a greater sense of urgency, but it just doesn't seem that way. Alright, back to ripping off Full Metal Jacket. So Andy catches sight of Cochran carrying Chucky to the dumpster and understandably freaks the fuck out. And we haven't had a kill scene in a little while. Unfortunately for Chuck, looks like he might be next on the list due to his own stupidity. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed my ass off the first time I saw this scene because this is one of a few times where Chucky pretending to be a doll and inanimate directly backfires on his ass.
Mister! Please, somebody! Jesus! Mister!
That's not even him putting on an act, that's legit him screaming in fear for his life. So Chucky is able to make his way back into the cab of the dump truck and take control of it while the man is busy sifting through the trash. Chucky delivers one of his iconic cackles right before crushing this man to death. While the camera does cut away at the last second, we do get a nice satisfying crunch as the screen fades to black, and a nice gory aftermath. Finally, Andy and Chucky are reunited, and Chucky gives Andy the scoop on the new rules.
You're not gonna kill me, you need me. You need to transfer your soul into my body.
Wrong again, wimp. I got some fresh meat lined up, and I'm not gonna let you spoil it, not this time.
Tyler.
Yeah. Just think. Chucky's gonna be a bro.
But Andy ain't no kid anymore, and he's not gonna put up with this shit any longer. He chucks a shoe at Chucky, knocking him down, then proceeds to beat the shit out of him, just as Sheldon walks in. He takes the doll away from Andy back to his bunker, and then Andy proceeds to track Chucky down. Further proof that Andy has completely lost his marbles at this point, he sneaks into Sheldon's cot and proceeds to poke around with a big-ass knife in his hand. I'm sure this is gonna look great when somebody walks in. So Sheldon makes everybody else run a bunch of drills in order to figure out who took the doll. Like, come on dude, it's a fucking doll, for real. And once again, where are the adults in all of this? We do see Cochran real quick, but he doesn't do jack shit to help the situation. Meanwhile, in another part of the school, we see Chucky looking for Tyler, who is just annoying the fuck out of both me and Chucky at this point.
Come and find me.
God damn it.
Yeah, I feel you, Chuck. I mean, it's amazing. It's like the harder Chucky tries to kill Tyler, the less seriously Tyler takes the situation. And again, what the fuck kind of a military school is this where gut punching one of your cadets in the stomach is considered acceptable?
Get the lead out! Come on, move it! Faster, faster! Let's go, Brock! Get those D's in the sky! Come on!
This next scene is cool, but also kind of lame, ironically at the exact same time. So they set up a really cool kill here for Cochran, who's been kind of an asshole and been kind of doubting Andy this entire time, despite the evidence being plain as day right in front of him. But anyway, so you think Chucky's gonna kill this motherfucker, and he does, but not directly, and you'll see why in a second.
Aw, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And this is where the film kind of starts to lose its way a little bit for me. The pacing, compared to the first two, it started off strong, but it's just kind of... it's not really going anywhere at this point. Fortunately, Sergeant Buttfuck is here to keep things interesting. And by interesting, I mean weird.
My man. Tuesday. Look at you, Whitehurst. You're a disgrace. When's the last time you had a trim?
2 weeks ago, Sergeant. You think?
You think? You think? I want to see you right after breakfast. You got it?
Yes, sir, Sergeant Botnick, sir.
And what are you looking at, new boy? Wednesday.
Okay. Alright, so how about that cut, Whitehurst?
You are, without a doubt, the sorriest excuse for a soldier to ever disgrace these walls. Face it, you're not cut out for this life. Why don't you do yourself a favor and get the hell out of Kent?
Yeah, not good. Thankfully for Buttlick here, he's a freak. And it looks like he's found some fresh meat.
A haircut ain't regulation, soldier. When's the last time you had a trim, huh?
Even Chucky's like, get me the fuck out of here. But hey, how could you not trust this face?
Presto. You're dead. It's definitely you.
You know what though? I'm not even mad at Chucky this time because this was clearly a case of self-defense. Oh, the irony. Barber dead in his own chair. Well, at least we have a witness now, besides Andy. Besides, I'm sure he'll back him up.
What's wrong? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong.
Ugh, never mind. Knowing now that the war games will be happening soon, Chucky comes up with the actually pretty brilliant idea of switching out the paintballs with live ammunition. Now, from what I've been told, the chambers of rifles that actually fire real live ammo aren't able to do this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not a gun nut myself, so I don't really know a whole lot, and my knowledge is pretty limited. But please chime in the comments if you know anything in regards to whether this would actually work in real life or not, because from what I understand, it definitely would not. Well, some time has passed since the incident, so let's see if Whitehurst will open up now.
What's going on, Whitehurst? You saw something, didn't you? You saw Chucky. Don't whip out on me now, Whitehurst. I need your help. That kid needs your help.
Didn't see anything, okay? I didn't see anything at all.
This guy's starting to piss me off. So Annie and De Silva have a little bonding moment here, and they even get a little kiss in. And Chucky, don't be peeping.
Man, I really gotta get out of this body.
Just hang in there, Chuck. Only one more movie and then you'll finally get lucky. So Andy decides to go look for Tyler, who is taken off with Chucky, and Whitehurst proves once again how useless he is.
Now, are you with me or not? I'm sorry, I can't.
Ugh. Just shoot this guy right now for me, please, Andy. So Tyler sneaks off with Chucky's help, and this next part absolutely kills me because at this point, the two of them are starting to sound like an old married couple.
I'm tired. I don't want to play that dumb game anymore.
You're a fucking drag, you know that?
Watch your mouth, Charles.
Stop calling me that!
See, my main issue with Tyler is that despite being, I think, like 9 or 10 years old, he just comes off way too naive for his age, and Don Mancini even elaborated about this in an interview where he said that despite liking the actor playing Tyler, he did feel he was a little bit too old when you take into consideration how immature and naive the character is written to be. So after revealing his true intentions, Tyler pulls out a knife that Andy gave him earlier and stabs Chucky in the chest before running off. He runs directly into the opposing team's arms, and of course, dumbass Shelton, thinking this is all just a part of the game, takes him prisoner. To make matters worse, Chucky knocks down De Silva and takes her hostage as well.
Tyler!
Barkley!
Are you okay, Tyler?
Well, looks like we got ourselves a little POW.
The radio starts going off, and who should be on the other line but the good guy himself.
Who is this?
Put Barkley on, jarhead. It's the Reds. They're up to something.
Well, what do you want?
I want the kid. Bring him up to the old Jeep or there'll be hell to pay.
Now, while it may seem a little silly to have Chucky negotiating with his opponents, this next scene actually makes for a pretty cool spectacle. So Chucky agrees to let De Silva go in exchange for Tyler. And you can clearly tell he is sick of Tyler's shit.
Now, just get down and shut up!
The rest of Andy's platoon show up and they start firing paintballs at each other before finally realizing there's no threat at hand. Well, you know, except for the possessed killer doll, of course, but they remain completely oblivious to that. Also, Sheldon's reaction to seeing Chucky is both ridiculous and hilarious at the same time.
Hi, soldier.
Fuck me.
And you know, I don't think I've ever been happier to see a character die in a movie before. The two teams continue to fire at each other for a little while before the Reds finally realize that, oh shit, there's real live ammo in our guns. Now I know I've been dumping on our boy Whitehurst this entire time, but he's about to redeem himself here because Chucky throws a grenade in an attempt to blow up the entire group while they fight amongst themselves, and my man actually shows some balls here. Only to immediately get them blown off, but hey, it's the thought that counts.
Sayonara, suckers!
I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, the first time I saw this scene, it honestly had me really fucking emotional. So Tyler runs off with Annie and De Silva in tow, and this is basically where we get our big epic climax of the movie. It's not quite as good as the Toy Factory chase we got in Child's Play 2, but it's actually a pretty neat sequence. Tyler manages to find a security guard, and surely he can be of some help.
Anna will cheer you up. Look what I found.
Alright, well maybe not. But at least this gives us another kill where we see the corpse of the security guard on the ground with, I'm guessing, a bullet hole in his head. It's a little confusing, so unless he had two guns on him at the time, I'm not really sure what Chucky used to shoot him in the head with, because we see De Silva take the gun out of his holster.
Come on. Wait.
Of course, you know, Chucky's not as smooth as he used to be, so naturally he picks the most obvious place to hide and perform his ritual.
One more round.
Perfect. In there.
Now, to be honest, this third act here in the carnival is pretty freaking cool. Though I have to wonder how they managed to fit this 30-story tall roller coaster with this massive track inside of this little tiny funhouse. And let me tell you something, people. This is the most dangerous fucking carnival ride I've ever seen. Honestly, it seems like fucking Jigsaw designed this place because everything is dangerous and is trying to kill you at any given moment. Even the freaking props. They're not even props, they're real weapons. Oof, tough break there, Chuck. Although it does give him a pretty gnarly looking facial scarring, complete with human bones and tendons. Almost like a miniature version of Two-Face. So Tyler hitches a ride on this little gargoyle looking thing with Chucky hot on his tail. And I love this shot here where you can see his little legs twitching. Tyler manages to get to safety, but ends up getting knocked unconscious by the gargoyle prop. I always thought it was Chucky that knocked him over growing up, but after rewatching this film for this review, it looks like the gargoyle actually bumped into him, which would make sense, but that was a pretty light impact we saw, so I'm not sure how that managed to knock his little ass unconscious. Good thing Chucky's voodoo ritual is twice as long in this film, though, because it buys our characters some extra time to make their way up this pile of skulls.
Ate tui tempela, la mercier de bois chaillot.
And it just goes on and on and on this time.
Mortis me le deve cordi me voce. Adele por de boisse tempela. Adele por de boisse tempela. Le mercier de bois chaillot.
S'accuse entea me pois de mort.
Mortis me le deve cordi me voce. Mortis me le deve cordi me voce.
Come on, Andy, make us proud. So Andy squeezes off a few shots, missing the first time, but managing to blow Chuck's arm off on the second shot. He hits him in the chest a third time, thinking he's finished him off. But, like Chucky says, you just can't keep a good guy down.
Come on, let's get out of here.
So after a little scuffle with a one-armed Chuck, Tyler hands Andy the knife he gave him earlier, and he manages to slice Chucky's other hand off just in the nick of time. He gets tossed into the air and lands directly into this big-ass fan we see. And if you've ever wondered why protagonists in horror films don't just go the extra mile and either blow up or chop up the monster/villain into a million pieces, well, here's an exception. It's a pretty gnarly and gruesome death for Chuck, and definitely one of the more satisfying ones that we get in the franchise, where he basically gets turned into a protein shake by this giant fan blade. And honestly, I would have been totally okay if this had been the last Chucky film. I know, blasphemous of me to even suggest that, and I'm sure the hardcore Chucky fans will come hunting my ass down with pitchforks and torches at some point. But honestly, the way this movie ends, both with Andy's character arc and Chucky getting chopped up into like a gazillion freaking pieces, makes for a perfect end to a, honestly, pretty perfect trilogy, in my opinion. And plus, look at how many pieces he got cut into. There was no way Jennifer Tilly could have stitched him together from that, like she does in the next one. But I digress. So the movie basically wraps up with De Silva being taken to the hospital and Andy being escorted into a police car, I guess to be put back into foster care since he's still technically a minor at this point. It's kind of a downbeat and rather disappointed ending, especially when you take into consideration the fact that so many people have witnessed Chucky alive and in the flesh at this point. De Silva, Tyler, the other troops that didn't die. I just find it hard to believe that nobody is willing to back up Andy's story once again after all of these crazy events have occurred. So that was Child's Play 3. Honestly, I know it may have come off from a lot of my nitpicks and a lot of my critiques during the commentary portion of this video that I did not like this one, but actually I quite enjoy it. I do consider this a rather underrated sequel, and it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people think. It's certainly not as bad as Seed of Chucky, though I respect Dom Mancini's feelings on the matter. Brad Dourif did say that this was his least favorite film that he worked on, which does say a lot considering he's been Chucky's voice actor since the original movie. That being said though, this film is not perfect. It does have its flaws. For one, a lot of the characters are just honestly downright unlikable. Even the characters that aren't meant to be assholes just come off as really dull and boring. I already mentioned earlier about how the actor who played Tyler came off a lot younger and more naive than he was really meant to be portrayed as. I'm assuming the character was around 8 or 9 years old. I don't remember verbatim if it was said in the movie, but he's supposed to be a little bit older than he acts. But you would never guess it based off of his behavior. Now, whether that was the actor's fault, the script, or a little bit of both, I can't say, but it definitely does show in the movie. And while I have certainly encountered more annoying child actors and child characters in movies before, Tyler is honestly no Andy Barclay. As for Justin Whalen, who played Andy in this film, again, he's sort of a mixed bag for me. The military school setting, while definitely a unique and refreshing take for a horror film, kind of got a little bit dull and boring, especially when they repeat these same tropes that we see in movies like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, and basically any war movie you could possibly imagine. Chucky doesn't look horrible in this movie, but I don't care for his chubby Cabbage Patch cheeks. He doesn't come off quite as intimidating as the previous two movies, and it's obvious that they were trying to make him a little more lighthearted and goofy this time around. And yes, in retrospect, it does make sense why they decided to go more comedic with the next movie, especially after this one. The animatronics used for Chucky seemed a little bit more stiff and limited when it came to motion. Whereas Child's Play 1 was cutting edge for the time, and Child's Play 2 took the facial expressions and articulation to a whole other level, Chucky's articulation seems a lot more limited this time around. While I did find some of the kill scenes to be quite creative and enjoyable as well, once again, like everything else I've mentioned so far, it just feels kind of underwhelming at the end of the day. I would also expect the kills to be a little bit more graphic and gruesome. After all, this movie is rated R. I know the other two Child's Play movies weren't overly gory, but I would consider them bloody films at least. Aside from 1 or 2 death scenes along with Chucky's death at the end of the film, this movie feels pretty light on the gore. Most of the death scenes that aren't strangulations either cut away or fade to black or take place completely off screen. While I did enjoy his performance as much as Alex Vincent in the first 2 movies, Justin Whalen was still doing his best, and it was cool to see a more grown-up, mature version of Andy who is capable not only of fighting back, but also taking the fight to Chucky himself. And seeing him almost act as like a older brother / father figure to this new kid, Tyler, who is now Chucky's next victim, that created a really fun and interesting dynamic, and I kind of wish that had been explored a little bit more in this movie. For me, what makes this film is really the third act taking place at the carnival. It is one of the coolest set designs I've seen in a horror film in a long time, and makes for a very memorable finale. Chucky's death as well is extremely creative and satisfying. As always, Brad Dourif is an absolute charm, and while he may not have enjoyed working on this particular movie as much as the others, he still brings a lot of fun and charisma to the character of Chucky, and really, he's what makes this film enjoyable to me. So while Child's Play 3 may be one of the weaker entries in the franchise, it is still a lot of fun, and if you enjoyed those first 2 movies, I would encourage you to seek this one out and watch it as well. I realize this one may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think it deserves a little bit more praise than it gets. Anyway guys, that's a wrap on this one. Make sure to comment, let me know what you guys want to see for the next underrated gem review. I'm definitely looking to review some more horror films on this channel. I know we've kind of taken a break and we've been doing a lot more action stuff lately, but we're going to get back on the horror train here, so make sure to do that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.